Let's do it. All right. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it was a long meeting yesterday, but they're normally, a good probably 4 or 5 hours. And these first meetings of the year are pretty busy too, because there's a lot of contracts that are kind of lingering from the end of the previous year,
Hmm.
and we're gearing up for the budget season. So yeah, it's going to be a lot. We follow all this action on bridgedetroit.com. My weekly city council notebook kind of recaps what happens at the formal sessions on Tuesday. City council also meets in committees throughout the week too. So there's always a lot going on. Some of the big things that were talked about yesterday, I want to call attention to this kind of controversy over mural contracts. So there were murals commissioned by a nonprofit group out of New York. That was actually called the Street Art Mankind Corporation. And this was done in partnership with the city. They had been talking for about a year, according to city officials, about putting some murals around privately owned buildings in the downtown to kind of beautify the area in advance of the NFL draft. So this was, let's put some nice art up on the walls when we have all these thousands of people that are going to come down to downtown Detroit.
All right, and let me get this straight. As we're showing definitely your screen and everything, people are seeing into the mind of the journalist Malachi, and more so, you can check this out every week. You can check this out every week. The notebook, where Malachi breaks down what happened in city council meetings every Tuesday on Wednesday mornings. So you can check this out and read for yourself what's happening. But kind of back to this mural project. So if I get this correct, a New York firm came to the city of Detroit like, yo, the NFL draft is coming and we need to beautify the city. We have some artists, and a lot of contention of this is a lot of the artists for these murals, if I'm correct, none of the muralists were from the city of Detroit. This is an outside entity that commissioned this, a nonprofit that's not also not from the city of Detroit. So it's not a Michigan or Detroit-based arts organization. There are no muralists from the city of Detroit, and it seemed to have the council a little up in arms over how this would happen. And I believe that what's the cost of all of this?
So the big controversy with this, and I guess it's not really clear to me whether Street Art Mankind Corp, we'll call them Street Art Mankind, came to the city first, or if the city was looking for kind of a group like this to do some murals. I mean, the city does a lot of mural projects. I believe they do things across the country, across the world. They have a lot of international artists. We were told yesterday at the city council meeting that none of the artists are from Detroit. They're not even from the United States. They're all from other countries. And basically what this organization does is kind of uplift.
Wait. Yeah. They're not even from the United States of America?
That's what we were told, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so so basically this is looking to take money from city of Detroit taxpayers to pay artists not from America. So this is not Detroit. This ain't Metro Detroit. This ain't Michigan. This ain't even the USA.
Right.
Wow, that's interesting.
I want to highlight too, Outlier Media, if you can see my screen, did a really great story about this in October of last year, where they kind of broke down some of the tension between local artists like Sidney James, very prominent mural artist here, folks who just weren't even really given a chance to participate in this project, which runs pretty counter to, some of the things that the arts department of the city has been doing to commission murals across the city. So this was kind of a separate project from like the City Walls project, which has put up a lot of interesting art by mostly local, at least Michigan based in a lot of cases.
I mean, you speak about Sydney right now. She has her Girl from Detroit exhibit in New York, and the blackout walls that she's been doing for years have been placing different murals that express a lot of that cultural blackness. Like it's some over on Dexter right now that really are representative of the culture of the city. Definitely shout out to Sydney on so many levels, especially the bamboo earrings that my man Mike Will just designed that is like an ode to Smiley. But I ain't friendly for the people that know Detroit hip hop. But my bad. I'm just going into like more Detroit culture. There you go.
So basically, I mean, there was already this frustration about who got the opportunity to do this work, and that story came out in October. And as soon as it did, city council members were reaching out to the planning department and vice versa, saying, "Hey, what the heck is going on here? Why did we not get anybody involved in this?" The big controversy, or kind of the new turn of the screw, anyway, is that the city is being built for this now, and there was no approval ever given from the planning department and also from city council. City council is being asked to pay for these things that they never had a chance to weigh in on, which could run afoul of the city charter. Council President Pro Tem James Tate said that this work was done in violation of the charter, which gives the city council the sole authority to approve contracts. So this work was kind of done without permission, and now they're turning around and billing the city for it. The city council refused to pay. They unanimously voted to reject the contract yesterday. It's a $215,000 bill. It was, included in the bill are flights for the artists who, again, are coming from across the world, Uber rides around town, hotel rooms while they were staying here, some of the compensation for the artists, and equipment. And, if you get your calculators at home, $215,000 divided by 6 is already, not a ton. You split up all that other stuff. One of the other kind of issues that Outlier raised in its reporting was how much were the artists even getting paid in the first place?
I definitely think, for the size of some of these murals are massive, like football fields.
They span the side of a
imagine.
parking deck or a 5-story building. I mean, they're pretty big. You probably noticed them around downtown. They were put in September, October of last year. So City Council is really pushing for some accountability on this issue from the planning director, who serves at the pleasure of the mayor, Antoine Bryant. Really could just apologize up and down for letting this happen.
Yeah, in your story, Antoine's perspective, like from how I read it, was like kind of like a big my bad. I should have not have. So if I get this correct, the muralists began with the thumbs up from Antoine, which for people that understand like the role of city council, any city monies that's approved and paid to anyone goes through city council. City council is the holds the purse strings of the city of Detroit. The executive body, on the other hand, makes a decision of usually like how funds will be spent, but it must be approved as far as budgeted from the city of council. And also creating the laws and the ordinances, similar to any legislative branch of government, going all the way back, taking you back to middle school, social studies per se. So with this, Antoine basically said, hey, you can start. And then when he's like, okay, what? I misstepped.
Well, he's even saying that he didn't give them permission, that they started on their own. The city was in conversations with this group that they were going to come and do some murals for us ahead of the draft. And groups like the Downtown Economic Growth Corporation and Visit Detroit, some of these other kind of like organizations that were involved in bringing the draft down here, were, on board with this. But the work kind of started without even his permission, is what he was telling the council yesterday.
Okay, so if it started without his permission, because completely I read, but he was saying stop, but they went on and continued, right? Because he was the one that said stop, and they still move forward with it.
Yeah, once they had started, he went to them apparently, and murals, can take between a week or 2 weeks or longer, depending on how long or how intensive they are and how complicated they are, right? This one that we have included in our story, a photo that was provided by the city, shows one of the parking garages over by LCA. I think it's on 2nd Ave or maybe Cass. I'm not quite sure. I saw that being put together over the course of at least a week. It might have even been, 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, he came to them and said, hey, knock it off. You haven't been approved to start doing this work. And he said they just did it anyway, which is very strange. Another thing I want to raise too is Council President Sheffield brought up how, in the past, the law department has said that general fund dollars can't be used for private interests, basically. And that has stood in the way of the city spending general fund dollars on home repair programs or, down payment assistance programs.
Wait, you forgot the big thing. Our big thing of last year's year end. People getting paid back for their overassessed taxes.
Overassessment too, yeah.
That right there, that one-on-one you had with Conrad Mallett specifically speaking to that. And this would be looked at as not only public, but the argument is these buildings are privately owned structures, A. B, the argument is that because the NFL draft is here, it beautifies the city, so it's a public good for the beautification. And now the argument comes back to city council saying like, okay, wouldn't heightened public good be paying back the people that were overassessed in taxes? Or really, they didn't speak to that as much as they spoke to like the drainage backups and a lot of the other quality of life challenges that do exist, kind of connected to some of the functionality of things associated with the city's deliverables to citizens,
Yeah,
correct?
I think the beautification is the big part. Like, if you can use general fund dollars to beautify the downtown because it makes the area look more attractive, I guess, for people that are coming down for the draft, why can't you use that money to repair homes so that neighborhoods are beautified? So that maybe as people venture out into the city, I think that there's like a argument that could be made there that it's a public good to have Detroit be a prosperous and well functioning place for people to actually live in their homes. And I think that's what she was raising, that this is a conversation that the council would have had if they had the chance to vote on this contract before the work was done. If the process would have been followed correctly, there would have been an opportunity to decide whether this was even a good use of or public dollars,
Mm.
because again, these are being put on privately owned downtown buildings. Councilwoman Calloway was like, why are we paying for these private owners to have murals put up? I mean, this is something that private owners pay for all the time on their own. Why are we
It's
using public dollars to put art on your building, right?
so getting there and staying on this pace.